Hello and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. This is the second episode in our Let's Play series of Satisfactory Update 6. I'm really excited about the new update. It only just came out this past week, I think. So we're still just getting started on a brand new map, setting up our very early game Tier 1 production. So, last episode, as you may recall, we got our copper wire production set up, iron plates and iron rods. And now I think we're about ready to start getting started with a bit of the cabling and screws that we're going to need for that next tier of production. Now, we only just unlocked splitters, which are, of course, the key to doing more than one thing at once in this game. So we're just going to go ahead and get started in setting some of those up. So we'll drop a splitter over there, and we'll drop a splitter over here off of our iron rods. And then from that, we can feed it into our constructor we have set up, and we can start making screws from that. Now, I'd already set up the belt last time for screws to go in here. And I do need to set up another constructor, of course, so that we can start getting that cabling going. Now, of course, I am short on reinforced plates again. That's going to be a constant struggle for the very, very immediate future in this game. So, we are back to making screws by hand for the moment. We just need a couple, enough to get to 2 reinforced plates. And there we have it. And from there, we can go ahead and build that assembler. So let's see, our splitter is there. And again, for those of you who remember the first episode, we're just going to make a mess of this for right now. All of our buildings are temporary, so we don't have to make this super pretty for anybody. I do like very well laid out factories when I can get to that point. I love good architecture. You know, I follow Kibitz and some of the others who do some really great builds, really nice, interesting designs with foundations and whatnot. But this early in the game, it's real difficult to do anything too pretty. Oh, that's not what we want. Cables is what we want here. And so half of our copper wires will now become cables. Now we're once again into the problem space of not having enough power lines going everywhere. And again, we only have tier 1 for our power lines. So that means you can't hook up more than 3 things at once. In addition to the main line coming in. So 4 altogether. So we're maxed out here in a couple of places. So what do we end up doing? Well, we end up splitting things off again. So one thing we can do here is we can split this line. I think that one has enough extras on it. Yeah, you're right at 2. But we can put an intermediate pole here. Oh, except for that we're out of wire again. Let's just grab some freshly made wire. There we go. We're gonna drop a pole right off there. And now we're gonna actually remove the existing line and put that to that one. And that'll give us a little more resource. I tell you, friends, we're going to have to start hunting for some Caterium here pretty quick if I can't be more thoughtful in how we make these power grid setups for the immediate future. We're also going to want to probably start thinking about unlocking through the store some of these additional options for wall mounts, etc. That's going to help us a lot early factory building. But again, at this point, no permanent factory building. All of this is just going to be pretty static. Okay, so we'll bring this cable over here. Forgot to power this one up. That's a constant part of the show right now, is forgetting to connect power. Let's see here. All that's moving along nicely. Now, if we start thinking about our efficiency a little bit, this is currently taking 30 ingots and giving us 20 plates. But if I remember correctly, this is a pure node. So that means it's giving us 120 per minute, which then turns into, of course, 30 per minute here. So we could actually do 4 more smelters off of this one resource instead of having it the way I have set up here with 1 per. So that is a thing that we could do. Again, 120 per minute here. Now, of course, our belts only support 60 per minute, and there's no way around that at the moment. That is going to be our bottleneck for the near future. But we can certainly start splitting off at our smelter level and double up smelters. Now, I'm not going to do that right this minute because our power grid remains our major bottleneck. We just don't have enough biofuel generators to really be able to take advantage of that doubling right now. We're only getting 20 megawatts off each. That's 360 total, or 3 for a total of 60. So max consumption, max production is currently awkwardly in that in-between stage, and our total consumption can hit up to that 60. So we need a couple of more before we can really start maximizing that. For that, we're going to need a lot more biomass. And we're only slowly getting there. So let's drop off some more leaves while we're here. We're in the neighborhood. We'll grab all the biomass that's been produced. Maybe we can afford a 4th one. Let's go ahead and top up while we're thinking about it. And we've got enough extra. Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good on production. We're going to have to pick a whole lot more leaves, though. Before we do that, let's start thinking about what we're going to get into next. So, from our research perspective, we've got a couple of things. The map and the NAM are really important at this point. Knowing where we are and starting to be able to look around is really useful. Beacons, of course, are going to be a crafting ingredient and other things. I don't use beacons much in play. I tend to use the map, but it's definitely something to start thinking about. And then a lot of the other things at Tier 1 at this point are going to be from our various expansions. I love structural solutions. It gives you some really nice concrete shapes to play with. The frames are really fun. I love the glass ramps. It's one of my more favorite mod packs. So I am excited to start off on this one soon. But looking towards Tier 2, we have the assembler. Now this is going to really start unlocking some of the more useful things for us. Notably right now, it will give us our reinforced plates. So this is probably the thing that we want to start working on next. The chainsaw is fun. I'm still upset that the chainsaw can't be used as a weapon. Again, I like to play peaceful mode, but if you have a chainsaw, I grew up on Doom 2, having a chainsaw and not being able to use it as a weapon, it just seems weird to me, but we can certainly use it as a weapon on trees. Jump pads I hardly use. The resource sink, as I was mentioning before in the awesome shop, those are things I'd like to get out relatively soon, and obviously start thinking about customization when we start doing some real base building. But again, not critical right now, but upgrading logistics, that's the other thing we're going to need. Now, if you're paying close attention, you'll see that we're going to need reinforced plates to unlock this, and those Mark II belts also require reinforced plates, excuse me. So to do that, I think right now, part assembly is where we're going to want to spend our time. Now, again, close viewers are going to note that we also have the linear motion mod in this pack and the elevators, but again, we're not doing a multi-level factory yet, so we don't really need the elevator at this stage. So let's go ahead and start investing in part assembly. Now, once we start doing part assembly, that's going to get us a little bit closer towards getting to the space elevator. But I think for right now, yes, this is definitely what we want to start with. Now, just a reminder for ourselves, what do we need for that space elevator? Well, a whole lot of parts. 1,500 copper wire is going to be one of the ones we're going to be waiting the longest for. You can see slowly in the background the few little copper wires we have coming through. I think we probably are almost at enough concrete, and those rods are coming in pretty well. We're probably going to want to increase our rod production here if we do some splitting early on, just to be able to start getting to that. But yeah, that space elevator, we're not quite there yet. We'll also have to find a suitable place to put it. Again, whatever we build at this point, it's just going to be a temporary space elevator. We're going to tear it down and probably want to build something a little bit more permanent here in a base a little further away. Maybe out towards the south a little further, towards the coast more. I guess we could always put the space elevator on an island. That's always fun, but getting back and forth can be painful. But yeah, we'll probably move a little bit further into the desert before we start doing any permanent base building. We could also put it up on top of one of these plateaus, maybe. I would guess that some of those energy slugs are sitting up there as well if we start exploring. It's been a little while since I built out this way, but I'm pretty sure there are some up on some of these bluffs. But for right now, let's just focus on getting that part assembly in place and starting to get some reinforced plates built for the next couple of tiers that we want to start building on. Still a long way off from the cables that we want. Decent number of plates at this point, but rods are slow. Well, maybe we will go ahead and increase rod production. Let's go ahead and do that. Set ourselves up for success moving ahead. First things first, we're going to have to drop another smelter in. So again, using the easy mod lets us line those up pretty nicely. But I don't have reinforced iron plates. But what we will do is we'll go over here and we're going to just split off from our merger, or from our splitter. Split off from our splitter. A little bit more of the iron, and we'll lay down another constructor. And again, we're not on a nicely tight grid, so it's pretty difficult to get these to line up properly. But we'll fake our way through it. Okay, so that's more iron rods here. 15, 15, 15, and these actually produce 30 per minute, not 15. So, we could actually do twice as many if we wanted. Now, again, at this point, we're going to have to start looking at building a fourth biofuel generator for this to work. But let's go ahead and split this off. Okay, we'll split this here. Take that there. We'll wire up these next ones, and again, we're keeping this very loose and ugly build for now. Doesn't need to be pretty at this stage. So again, for those of you keeping track of the math, we're generating 120 iron raw ore back here. These smelters are consuming 30. Again, the bottleneck here is going to be the conveyor belts at this point, which can do only 60. So we've split off the 60 that we've got here into two, 30 each coming out. So the 30 here is being split into 15 and 15 rods, and the 30 here is split up into 15 and 15 rods. So, again, power management continues to be obnoxious at this stage without Caterium. So we'll connect a few of these up. And I'm trying to get into the habit of every time I put down 2 cables to add another pole before I continue, because otherwise you're just going to run out of exposed ends. Now, these have 15 coming off each, and like I mentioned, you can put 60 items on a belt, 60 per minute. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to actually merge this. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here. Not a lot of cleanup, but I do want to make this a little bit simpler on myself. So we're just going to run the belt from over here. Raise that up to a reasonable height. Now we're going to run this down here, past all of these, and come to a stop right about here. I'm going to turn the end of that. Now we're going to connect that into our splitter we had set up. And now here's where, if we had a nicely laid out base, we would be using the Easy mod to do this automatically for us, but we're going to go ahead and set up some mergers manually here. Now see, Easy does build out the belts for you if you line it up nicely, which is a big life improvement. And you know what? We could probably actually even convince it to do all of the in-between belts if we wanted, but I don't know on this hill how well that's going to work out. So we're just going to do this manually, and again, it's building out all of the intermediate belts. But note that sometimes Easy gets a little overly enthusiastic and doesn't put the belts into exactly the right spot. Functionally, this still works, actually. As the items come out here, it's going to still go into this merger. It just looks real ugly. We'll pick this up because we don't actually need the ones hanging off the end. Let's see here. This constructor needs to be told what to do. So we'll just tell all three of these we want rods. Okay. So now our rod production is already quadrupled from where we were at the beginning of the episode. That is going to help us a lot here, and in particular is going to give us an increased output of our screws by double, which is wonderful. Now, the only trick is that this can only do 10 per minute screws, but it is producing 40 per minute. So this is also going to be a bottleneck for us. If we try and increase this any, the output belt is going to get clogged. So yeah, with this as the bottleneck, that's about as far as we're going to be able to get with our output here, because we can only put 60 on a belt. This caps at 40. What we could do is put another one here and just let it back up a little bit, and that'll still automatically maximize to whatever belt you have here. So it's not going to be very efficient, certainly from a power perspective, but it would allow us to increase our output a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to grab this splitter and put it over here-ish, so that we can have it in between the two. Let's see here. Can I get it from there to there? Yeah. Put the splitter here at an awkward angle on the hill. There we go. Again, no points for looking pretty and well organized at this point. That is just, oof, that hurts to look at, I have to admit. I don't like seeing really awkward builds like this, but we're gonna stay ugly for now. Ugly gets us where we're trying to go. Okay, and then output here, we have this merger, so we just grab off of this into that. Then, of course, we have the power problem, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut that line. We're going to build a new line here, just to keep up with our numbers of poles we're going to need, and we're just going to connect that to both of these. Up. And what did I think was going to happen is exactly what just happened. Too much going on for the 3 sad little generators we have. Well, that's okay. We're going to build a 4th one. So we're going to set this right next to the other one. Like that. And then we're going to build ourselves another power pole over here. And we'll connect these up. And then we're going to drop in our remaining biomass here. And there we go. Our max consumption now should meet our production. As long as we don't have a spike, we'll be okay. But we're pushing our luck here, folks. Okay, we're going to drop off some more leaves. Oh, but we have a whole bunch of biofuel now. That is a good sign. We still need to go pick some more leaves here as we go, but we can go ahead and top these up. And we'll make that one full. Okay. Good. Okay, so we've picked a lot of our leaves here at our main area. I'm gonna have to start going a little further afield to get any more. And as I mentioned in the first episode here, I really wish that we had refined power. It's a great little mod. I'm a big fan of using solar and wind. In general, I think sustainable energy is the way to go, but Satisfactory, the creators, that team, they want to feel like you're having to trade off resources, and resource management is a big part of their vision for the game. But personally, I think that clean, renewable energy is a good thing for the world, so I do like the refined power mod. But again, it hasn't yet been updated for Update 6, so for right now, we're going to have to play without it for at least the near future. While we wait for the mod authors to catch up. Now, I note that we just found our first power slug. That's exciting. Let's just go ahead and pick this up. Now, speaking of renewable energy, and other things that are good for the environment and the world at large, I noticed that there's a mod I haven't tried yet that lets you, instead of building slugs into power shards, and thereby, probably doing who knows what to those little slugs. I don't want to think about it. To make those power shards, instead, it lets you keep them in little terrariums. And then you use the terrariums in place of power shards. And that seems like a cute little idea. I might try that one out before we do anything too drastic. Now, I don't know if that's going to work with the MAM research or not, but certainly something I'd like to find out. Oh, you see that? Oh, I forgot. Down the hill here, we have one of our first crash sites where we can pick up some resources. Now, there is that nasty hive over there that we're going to have to take out, though, if we're going to do that. What do you think? Should we risk it? Should we wait till later? There's nothing in there we really need. We haven't put the MAM yet, but we might be able to find some later game resources that we can pick up. What do you think? Should we do it? Let's do it. Losing is fun. Okay, so let's try and get this taken out. There we go. Oh, 3 of them. Come on. Oh, there's another one. Didn't see that one. Come on. Get this hatcher taken care of. Where are you at? All gone? Okay. Now, if you did listen to the first episode, you also probably remember that I don't really like playing with having enemies. I do like the peaceful mod, but also that's another one that isn't yet supported. So, at least for the near future, with Update 6, we're going to have to fight a few enemies. I don't like doing it, but we're going to have to. So let's see what we got here. Some encased beams. That's going to be great for later in the game. Pick up all of those. A motor. Motors are always great to have. I go through a lot of those. Pick up those hatcher remains. Oh, a computer. Oh, that's going to be useful. Very useful. But the big question is, what do we need to open this thing up? We need 4 rotors. Ugh, that's what I was worried about. We are nowhere near having rotors yet. That is way too far ahead of where we're at. Now, once we get those assemblers set up, we can start making some rotors. And those will be helpful for the machines that are going to be needed for the next tier. But for right now, we're not quite ready for rotors. Hello, friend. Oh, I never noticed the birds do that before. I think he's sending a signal? Messaging? That's interesting. Never saw that animation. That's a cute little addition. And again, our goal is to get to coal production as soon as we can. Again, just because having to manually do these generators is just really obnoxious. Really don't love that. And again, the refined power mod does add, if I remember correctly, generators that are biofuel that you can automate, so you don't have to keep inserting extra bits in there. But again, we don't have that mod today, so we're just going to use what we've got. Now, one other thing that we could do here is increase our plate production. Again, we have the same bottlenecks here on plates that we do on the rods, and we could also do our copper wires and cables. So let's go ahead and increase the production on those real quick. We're going to drop, again, another smelter, and we'll connect that up, or we will not connect that up because it's already maxed out over here. I tell you, I am missing having those Caterium cables already. And then we drop a splitter. Of course, middle click lets you pick up whatever item that you is under the cursor and immediately start building it. Smelter, this one already knows that it needs to be doing iron. Now, 30 per minute production. This is only accepting exactly 30 per minute, so we just need one more to double our output. And now, let's see if we can squeeze in a merger real quick. Is there enough room here? Are you going to let me put that in? I could get a better view from up top. Let's see here. Climby. And let's see if this says it's an invalid shape or not. It's not. Wonderful. Okay, now we just need some power to this thing. Over here to the constructor. And away we go. Now we've already doubled our iron plates. That was quick. Then, of course, we've got the same issue with production on this copper line, of course. That, again, the belts are only going to give us a certain maximum. So we're just going to set another smelter right here. Again, ugly in our current setup, but whatever gets the job done. We'll split off. Oh, this is so ugly. I apologize to the viewers. Split off, clipping through the terrain. Oh, so ugly. So ugly. I'm so sorry. And then we're just going to, from there, fix our power situation. Again, same problems we had before. Put this down, run these over to these. We're going to run a little bit more power down the hill here, do the same thing. Now we're actually balancing the power up and down the hill, which is less than ideal, but it's just going to have to do for now. And connect that belt up. So, let's see here. This probably needs to be told what to do. Make a copper ingot. Okay. It's one thing that I do like about Factorio is you don't have to tell the smelters what to do. In Factorio, it'll automatically produce the ingot based on what's going into it. Especially since smelters can only accept one type of input at a time. It seems strange you have to tell them what to do. Assemblers, obviously, you're going to need to tell them that, hey, this needs to turn into a copper wire. Now again, as we were talking about before, we've got 30 coming in, but this is only using 15 at a time. So we're going to go ahead and put down a couple more. on both sides. And just really quickly, we're going to quadruple our outputs. So we go back to our splitters. One here, again, ugly, awkward diagonal belts clipping through the land. Not really my favorite aesthetic choice for these. And again, haphazardly placing power lines. Okay, so this one's making copper wire, this one's making copper wire. And this one's making copper wire. Pick up that belt, drop it in here. Now the output, 30 per minute, 30 per minute. So remember, that's going to be our bottleneck. 30 per minute times 2 is 60, and this belt can only take 60. So at least for the foreseeable future, we're going to have to double up on belts. So what we'll do is this is actually using 60 wire per minute altogether for cables. So what we'll do is we'll dedicate an entire line just to cables. Wire those up, and there we go. So we have a full 30 times 2 for 60, maximizing the use of this belt. And that's going to turn in this to 30 cables per minute once these start flowing through. And then they're going to drop off here in our little drop box. Okay, so now that we've got all of that set up, I think the last thing we want to do in this episode is to go through and get part assembly unlocked. So we're going to just hop on back over here to the hub, and I believe we have plenty of resources now that we've increased our production many-fold, that we can launch and get part assembly.
Milestone reached. More complex assembly of parts can now be automated. Project assembly parts can now be constructed and sent up via the space elevator. Note: project parts are too complex to produce by hand.
Okay, and away it goes. So, part assembly now unlocked. That gives us assemblers, which is going to be a big improvement for us. So yeah, now we can do rotors, now we can do reinforced plates, and a bunch of other things. So that's going to come in real handy. I think now that we've hit assemblers, it might be time to start thinking about laying out a little bit of our factory. I think that once we get the next tier of belts, we'll be able to really do something with that. So maybe what we'll do here is start working towards Logistics Mark II in the next episode. And if we can get Logistics Mark II up and running, I'll start building out our first little factory areas. So with that, I think we're at a good stopping point. So join us next time. We're going to start building out a little bit more of our actual automation of our factory. And then, with any luck, I will clean up some of these really ugly belts, and we can start building our first, I'm not going to say mega factory, but our first mini factory. So I'm really excited for that. So with that, I think we'll bring this to a close. Thanks again for watching Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends.